Put this tube in here to join up down here, give us a base for the firewall, as well as hold the gas pedal. This looks like it should have enough travel. If it doesn't, we can move it around a little bit or make a whole new pedal, but that location should work out and it's pretty comfortable. So let's get into building the other side tube real quick, and then this will also node in to the coilover mount. Got all the cardboard traced out onto some aluminum. Now we're gonna start cutting it out. Got the passenger side main floor pan fitted. Gonna get the driver's side next. Show you the process. So this is too wide to fit in the press brake, so we got a couple clamps and we're gonna bend it manually. So we take this piece of weld wire and bend it up to match, and that way we have a jig to bend the plate to. Now that we have the 3 main panels fit for the floor and the firewall, we're going to make a couple little flanges. That way we can mount it all together. Alright, so pulling the tunnel portion out, we left a little bit extra here. So what that's going to allow us to do is make this into a flange for that to bolt to and keep it clean. Alright, so we got 3 tabs here, and they are measured out onto this panel, so, and bent to the same. So now we're going to drill a couple holes and mount this panel up. I'm going to use these clecos to hold it all together until we make the final mounts. So all the pieces that we already made are all in. They're just held with the clecos together. There's nothing mounting it yet. So we still have to make tabs to mount all of them, but we're gonna make these 2 for the corners and these 2 real quick. And then that will pretty much complete the floor and this portion of the firewall. And then we can move on to the dash. Got the last piece of the cardboard made. Let's transfer it to some metal. So now that this is all mocked up, I'm going to wait on trying to weld these ones in just because the A-pillar is currently in the way and we need to make them out for that. Also, I'm going to do a tube across the rear. So we need to pull the seats out next and start figuring that tube out, and that will also mount the inners for the seats and then go from there. Alright, so as you can see, this seat's not quite leaned as back as far as the other one. We're going to make that match. We just need to make a little bit longer of a mount here. So let's remake this mount, get that tacked in, and we can pull the seats. So we already have that file made another one out of cardboard. I'm just going to use the previous file and just change the distance between the mount holes. Now the angles match on the seats. Everything looks good. This tab lines up nice. Tack that on and pull the seats out. Alright, so we left the floor panels a little bit long. The cross member tube that I was talking about is going to go from this leg seat mount area over to the other side. Obviously it can't go straight because it'll hit the shifter, so we're going to have to either go in front or behind and clear the drive shaft, see what we can come up with, and then all of this will get shortened and mounted to that tube as well. Well, before I started bending tube, I figured I should mock up the Atlas shifter, and this should work to clear the seat, but the tube was gonna go right here, and obviously that's not gonna work. So we're probably gonna end up having to come out forwards and around this because behind won't work for the seat mount. So it's gonna be interesting, but we have to get a little creative with it. We can adjust this a little bit, but the seat was super close to this point, so we can't move it backwards. Alright, so with this rod, putting the shifter right here, it's going to be in the way of the seat and everything. So what we're going to do is, I got some longer rod, we're going to make it up here next to the transmission shifter, and so that way we can set this block kind of at an angle down about there, and then have the shifters come out on the top. Alright, so with the goal being moving the shifters up here, we are going to pull the center out so that we can work without working around that, and then see what we can come up with. Alright, so we needed to extend the tube for the shifter to sit against to 10.5 inches. We only had 5.5 inches. this tube that I'm using is a little bit different size, so it wouldn't fit nice and snug. So we cut the ends off, and that way we don't have to go to the store and get parts. Alright, so in order to fit this tube, with the modification of the shifters, we're going to have to cut a little bit more out, and we're going to build a new setup over this, and then we're going to bend this up so that the tube will fit underneath it. So we got to pull the entire floor and tunnel out real quick and do a little bit of work on them so we can get this tube fit. All right, so we got this tube in. This tube is going to be removable. We just don't have disconnects at the moment. So disconnects will go right in here, but with this bar in, we can now make the seat mount. So we're going to put the seats back in and we'll figure out those mounts. All right, so now that we got that bar set and both of the seats fit, I'm gonna make the inner seat mounts real quick. Pretty much just playing around with some cardboard and get the mount made. We'll do that for both sides and then start on the computer. All right, we got both of those seat mounts tacked in, so the seats are all nice and mounted on all four corners. We had to cut, obviously, the floor and the center console area for the shifters. So, playing around with some cardboard, I'm gonna make another piece to extend the tunnel a little bit, and then this shifter boot will go over it and it'll look nice and clean. Got it fitting pretty good. Let's make this front piece. Got this welded up and it fits really nice, so now we're going to clean this up and we'll tack it into the tunnel and weld it to the tunnel, and then we'll mount it here. Got that last mount drilled in and all this welded up. It's nice. Pretty much completes the whole floor. We still got to work on the dash and whatnot, but that'll come a little later. So that finishes up the tunnel and the floor setup, as well as the seat mounts and the shifters. Pretty funny how trying to do one thing sometimes involves 3 other things to make it happen. Thanks for watching.